Let me introduce to you the father of English, Geoffrey Chaucer. He was the first man to set the language standard for English writing.
Journal Prologue of Canterbury Tales by Geoffrey Chaucer.
The opening is long, elaborate sentence about the effects of suffering on the vegetable and animal world and on people. The style of the rest of the prologue and tales is much simpler than his opening. When that April with his showers soothed, the drought of March hath pierced to the root, and bathed every vein in such liquor, of which virtue engendered is the flower.
When Zephyrus, eke with his sweet breath, inspired hath in every halt and heed, the tender crops and the young sun, hath in Ram his half course why run, and small fowls make a melody, that sleepen all the night with open eye. So pick at them nature in their courages, then longen folk to go on pilgrimage, and palmers for to seeken strange strands, to ferny hallows, coth and sundry lands, and specially from every shire's end of England to Canterbury they went, the holy blissful martyr for to seek, that them had holpen when that they were sick. Explanation. When April with his sweet showers had pierced the drought of March to the root and bathed every rootlet in the liquid by which the flower is engendered, when the west wind also with its sweet breath has brought forth young shoots in every grove and field, when the early sun of spring has run half his course in the sign of Aries, and when small birds make melody, birds that sleep all night with eyes open, as nature inspires them to, then people have a strong desire to go on pilgrimage, and pilgrims long to go to foreign shores to distant shrine known in various countries, and especially they go from every country in England to seek out the shrine of holy blessed martyr who has helped them when they were sick.
This was the first introduction by Geoffrey Chaucer for Canterbury Tales. Second scene of Canterbury Tale is at the Towbard Inn, just south of the London. The poet pilgrims falls in with a group of 29 other pilgrims who have met each other along the way.
Befell that in that season on a day,
In Southwark, at the Tabard as I lay,
ready to wenden on my pilgrimage,
to Canterbury with full devout courage,
at night was come into that hostelry
well 29 in a company,
of sundry folk by adventure by fall,
in fellowship and pilgrims were they all.
that toward Canterbury wooden ride,
The chambers and the stables were wide,
and well we were eased at the best.
and shortly when the sun was to rest,
So had I spoken with them every one,
that I was of their fellowship anon,
and made forward early for to rise,
to take our way there as I you devise,
but nathless while I have time and space.
ere that I further in this tale pace,
Methinketh it according to reason,
to tell you all the conditions,
of each of them so as it seemed me,
and which they won, and of what degree,
and eke in what array that they were in.
and at a night then will I first begin.
The first character, as introduced by Geoffrey Chaucer in Canterbury Tales, the knight is the person of highest social standing on pilgrimage.
Though you would never know it from his modest manner or his clothes, he keeps his ferocity for Kasuda's battlefield, where he has distinguished himself over many years and over a wide geographical area. As the text say, he is not a gay, that is, he is not a showily dressed, but is still wearing the military pedal coat stained by armor he has only recently taken off.
A night there was, and that a worthy man,
That from a time that he first began,
to riden out, he loved chivalry.
truth and honor, freedom and courtesy,
Full worthy was he in his Lord's war,
and thereto had he ridden, no man far,
as will in Christendom as heathness.
and ever honored for his worthiness.
At Alexandria he was when it was won.
Full often time he had the board begun.
Above all nations in Prussia,
In Leto had he reached, and in Russia.
no Christian man so of his degree.
In Grenade at the seas eke had he be.
Of Algiers and ridden in Belmary,
At Lays was he, and at Settley.
when they were wont, and in the great sea,
At many a noble army had he be,
at mortal battles had he been 15,
and foughten for our faith at Tramacine.
in listless thrice, and I slain his foe.
This Ike worthy knight had been also.
Sometime with the Lord of Platy,
Against another heathen in Turkey,
and evermore he had a Syrian prize,
and though that he was worthy, he was wise.
and of his port as meek as is a maid.
Nay, never, yet no villainy, he said.
In all his life, unto no manner right,
He was a very perfect gentle knight.
but for to tell you of his array.
His horse was good, but he was not gay.
Of fustian he weared a gippon,
All besmuttered with his hebrigo,
for he was late come from his voyage.
and went for to do his pilgrimage.
The knight's 20-year-old son is a striking contrast to his father. True, he has been some military action, but it was to impress his lady, not his Lord God. Unlike his parent, he is fashionably dressed. He is very much in love. He has cultivated all the social graces, and is also aware of his duty to serve as his father's squire.
With him there was his son, a young squire,
A lover and a lusty bachelor.
with locks curled as they were laid in press.
Of 20 years he was of age, I guess,
Of his stature he was of even length,
and wonderfully driver, and of great strength.
and he had been some time in Chevachi,
In Flanders, in Artois, and Picardy,
and borne him well as in so little space.
in hope to strengthen in his lady's grace.
Embodied was he as it were a mead,
All full of fresh flowers, white and red.
singing he was or flaunting all the day.
He was as fresh as in the month of May.
Short was his gown, with sleeves long and wide.
Well could he sit on a horse and fair ride.
He could songs make and well endowed,
Joust and eke dance, and well portray and ride.
so hot he loved that by night trail.
He slept no more than does a nightingale,
Cautious he was, lovely and serviceable.
and carved before his father at the table.